So this is going to be my Mother's Day present, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be out in time for Mother's Day, considering I'm recording it the day before. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about something my mom really wants to know about. So I'm going to talk about video games. Yeah. So the video is going to start now, because I don't know how else to start a video. Also, I'm going to be talking I'm also going to talk about the history of video games, particularly. So, yeah. I hope you enjoy, and I love you, Mom. It's the 1970s. Nixon invaded Cambodia. Apollo 15 lands on the moon. Good job, guys. The Beatles they broke up, unfortunately. But you know what towers above all these achievements besides the Beatles? Pong. Thank you, dog. See, he gets it. Hit the intro, cause I don't know what else to do. Yeah. I think the intro is over now. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing with this fucking video. But before we get into games as we know them now, we have to talk about D&D first. And trust me on this, I'm gonna relate them eventually. Maybe not. We'll see. You don't know my life. You see, back in the day, the uncivilized swine that was the 1900s, except for my mom. My mom is perfect and no one could say otherwise. They played the long-forgotten board game. That is when they weren't spending their time playing stickball or participating in segregation. Now, you may know some of the more famous board games, such as Monopoly or Risk or Life or Battleship. I don't know. You probably played them. You were probably in an elementary school that had no money and also didn't let you play tag. But there wasn't just board games they played. They also played role-playing games. Some good examples as The Legends of the Five Rings, Cyberpunk 2020, and Dungeons & Dragons. That's right. You thought I was going to forget it, did you? No. It's my video. You don't know what's going to happen next, okay? I could just end it right here, and you... Now, for those of you who don't know what D&D is, or, unlike me, had a social life outside the internet, D&D is a role-playing game where you and a group of your friends or party or random people you find in the street or some guy you find in the gutter make a group of characters that fall under certain races and have certain abilities that have like strengths and weaknesses that follow a story created by your dungeon master or dungeon daddy. Hey, we're inclusive here. Which is a choose your own adventure game. There we go. See, someone has an IQ above double digits. This is also one of the first big, I guess, gaming controversies you can call it. You might know it as a satanic panic.
I do not think that many parents are aware of what's inside the game. In fact, in my presentation, I show many pictures from the inside the books just to show the images of this game. I mean, the gruesomeness of this game and the occult link to it.
Well, I know that when I did my message, and this has happened, I have letter after letter where people took the pieces. Now, there's sixes involved in the pieces of the game, but they'd take the pieces of the game, they would throw them in the incinerator or the fireplace, and screams would come out because there seemed to be some kind of spiritual forces inhabiting those pieces, and children would drop out of life. They didn't want to study anymore. What are the pieces, for instance?
Well, this game affects the most intelligent of our children. And the pieces include white witches, wizards, necromancers, the clerics, that type of thing. It includes evil wizards. It's a white versus black witchcraft. The good versus evil is white versus black witchcraft. And Anton LaVey, the writer of the Satanist Bible, says there is no such thing as white witchcraft.
Well, being a Satan worshiper, he should know.
Yeah, he should.
That's right, bucko. D&D, more like demons and more demons. That's a lot of demons. In Pokemon, not anymore. More like, Satan, please stop poking me with that pitchfork. It hurts. Ow. Seriously, dude, stop. It hurts. It hurt. I'm saying it hurts. I bring it up because, one, it's funny, but also, imagine your like little 8-year-old brain trying to figure out what you're gonna do after rolling a nat 1 on your death saving throw, and then kapow, kablooey, kabang, future time. Now you can play this thing here. I don't know what it is. Is it tennis? Ping pong? Hockey maybe? Who knows? But now it's in every household in America, and it's about to change up the way we play games. This thing here was Pong. This was the spark that started the fire to what is video games nowadays. That's a big fire. Oh god, that's not good. After the other systems bombed harder than Nagasaki, a new generation was to be born. And yes, I know that joke is really bad and probably insensitive, but once you write it, it stays in. The new generations be populated by systems like Atari, and you know it was for a little bit, for a little bit, like for this long. That's about this long. Like you see, the games market was so oversaturated with bad games and consoles like the ColecoVision, the Atari 5200. It kind of stopped existing for a little bit. Now, it was so bad, you'd think it was like an anti-vax kid, because it died for like 10 years after it was born. If I know anything from horror movies, Japan doesn't like to keep anything dead. So, it said, fuck that, and just released a Nintendo Family Entertainment System. Or you know, the Famicom for, you know, regular people. Then its American brother, the NES, it stepped in for America. Come on, keep up, it's not that difficult. And then, well, revived the games market for the US entirely. It introduced games as a acceptable medium to the Western to a Western audience. This is also the same time where all your favorite game characters were created, like Murder Hobo, Random Crits the game, Fetch Quests the game, and Stealthy Shooty Man, created by God himself. Now, the 16-bit generation wasn't off to the best start. The debut console was a TurboGrafx 16, which, by the fact that neither you or I really know what that is, means it wasn't important and no one should care about it. The Sega Genesis came out after that and just completely destroyed it, like, out of the park. It's Sega Genesis, what are you gonna do about it? And then later, Nintendo released the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which is better than the Nintendo Entertainment System because the word super in front of it. And that's how things work in games. This is also around the same time Nintendo introduced their flagship characters, which, come on, we all know them, say it with me now. Catboy and Pasta Man. Also, what is this? You can now play your favorite dogfighting game on the go? What is this magic? Shut up, stop asking questions like that. Look, we don't want you learning too much, would we? That'd be a shame, that'd be a damn shame. Someone had to go missing. In 1993, Atari, they came back from the grave after, not releasing anything since an Atari 5200. Rightfully so, because it was garbage and they shouldn't have even left the house without being beat, but that's besides the point. Atari tried to redeem themselves with the Atari Jaguar. Also another thing that you don't know about because it didn't work out so well. Angry Video Game Nerd did an entire video about it, and here's his review of it.
Would you believe that a 30-year-old Pong console attached to a cell phone adapter would work, but a cutting-edge snarling Jaguar doesn't? There's something wrong here. And you know what? I blew $250 on this thing. So you know what I did? Bought another one. Yeah. And guess what? It doesn't work either. So that's about $450 total I blew on 2 dead Jaguars. And these things are rare, so when the only 2 that I can manage to get my hands on just don't work, that leads me to believe that these things most definitely are self-aware. They don't want to work. You can't make them. They just refuse to be reviewed. And I've never had that happen.
Yeah, not good, I know. 1994, Sega released the Sega Saturn and PlayStation released the PlayStation. For obvious reasons, and it came out with raving reviews because, it's PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. There's not really much to get mad at here. There's also the PCFX, which when I read about it, I never heard about it before, and I didn't really care much about trying to figure out what it was. So, if you really care that much about something that neither you or I really know about, then go ahead, search it up, waste time. Who cares? Now, it was 1995, and the Saturn and PlayStation were released in America instead of just in Japan. And the PlayStation never took the Saturn, probably because it had better games at launch. Because, That's not a pattern we see repeated nowadays. Also, a fun fact for you VR people, the Virtual Boy by Nintendo came out in '95, which was the first attempt at a virtual reality. Now I say attempt because they tried, guys. They really tried on this one. Now I say attempted because the Virtual Boy, instead of like a really cool, like, maybe not like VR as we know it now, but like, you know, you get the play as like Mario, kind of. Who knows? I don't really know what their idea was for it, because instead of a fun gaming experience, it was like shoving 2 TVs into your eyes. Now, which for anyone with common sense would be like, wow, that's a really fucking stupid idea, Dave. Why'd you come up with it? Get out of here. You're fired. Go, leave. Don't even pack up your things. Leave. I'm gonna burn them to the ground in front of your house. I'm reading my notes right here, just so I can tell you without trying to do multiple takes the list of symptoms that the Virtual Boy gave you. The Virtual Boy was so bad that it caused nausea, headaches, and dizziness, not dizziness. Disney did some other weird things for kids, but that's a different story. Dizziness. And it was warned that kids under the age of 7 should not play it because eyesight was still developing and can make you develop a lazy eye. So, on top of the fact that you're playing really bad games in a red monochrome style and getting headaches and nausea from it, you could also develop a lazy eye trying to play your favorite Nintendo games. It's just so sad, Nintendo. That's the worst attempt I've ever seen you make. Yes, so far. on top of the fact that it caused a litany of medical issues, the library for this thing was this capped at a measly 22 games. So you could get a lazy eye while playing the same 22 games in a row. That is upsetting. So when Nintendo was face fucking children, they also decided to do something good with their life and make the Nintendo 64, which, I mean, yeah, that's cool, I guess. Yeah, you're cool, Nintendo. You can hang out with the big boys now. This also came with the master of all Mario games, Super Mario 64. And yes, Jimmy, it is the best out of all of them. And if you say anything else, I'll make sure your parents never see you again. That's right. Know your place. Oh yeah, also music games are a thing now. Yeah, so now you can play an instrument without having any of the actual, like, skill to do so. This craze also came with DDR, you know, the game that everyone thinks they're really good at. And at the same time, Capcom just released Resident Evil, the horror game to define the survival horror genre. What is this year? My birthday? No, because it's a year, not a day. See? Look, I told you it isn't a hard thing to follow. Other big games of the time were also GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, which was the big FPS game that propelled them into an actual genre, and the critically acclaimed Ocarina of Time, which is widely known as the best game in the genre, and is still Metacritic's highest rated game ever. Wow, that's such a big number. Wow, I haven't seen a bigger number like that in years. Besides other games, I'm gonna stop ranting like this because that was a bad joke. The 5th generation was the transition from the blocky old cartridge to the better, more slick Chad CD. This allowed for lack of a better word, more game for the game. It also made 3D games easier to make because it stored things better and was faster and easier. It was just better all around. This was also the time where people were slowly pulling away from the 2D side-scrolling action adventures into 3D action adventures. So, I mean, it wasn't much of a change, more just like a dimension change, which I guess nowadays would be terrifying, but, you know, it's Corona time, so anything could happen, I guess. Okay, like it or not, mobile games are technically games. And they do indeed exist. Yes, we all hate them because we can't stop seeing their ads before every video we watch. And no, I don't want to play Raid Shadow Legends. Out. Now. So if you want to blame someone, blame Nokia. Because ever since they installed Snake, mobile games have been ever present. So thanks to Nokia, you can crush your candy and raid the shadows while waiting for the bus, and also contemplate your existence and forever loneliness. And think, I always heard the shadows, but the shadows never raid back. Am I the bad guy here? Now, the 6th generation of consoles just was a wacky time. Okay, it was a wacky time. I mean, Sega realized they're performing really poorly, so this is about the same time they bowed out of the console race with their last console being the Dreamcast, which actually wasn't really that bad. It was just the fact that their name was just completely dragged through the mud, mostly because of their just completely damaged reputation with the 32X, which, for those of you who don't know, was Sega's attempt at a CD game cartridge. CD game cartridge, that's not a thing. This a CD add-on to the Genesis, and it wasn't good. Also, the Saturn, also, even though I said earlier was good, it wasn't that good. It was just better than other things at the time. And they also had copyright infringement. So, you know, they weren't the most reliable company. But I mean, like, look, the Dreamcast actually itself wasn't that bad. Coming from someone who never played the Dreamcast. It was the first ever system, I believe, if I did my research correctly, which is probably not. It was the first ever system besides a computer to have online play. So, I mean, hey, that was a step up. I mean, that was the only step you had before you fell down the flight of stairs, and you decided, fuck that, and just went over to a different flight of stairs to do a different thing. But, you know, step up nonetheless. Now, Sega's poor performance earlier on wasn't the only thing that destroyed the Dreamcast. It was also the fact that Sony just had such a hyped release for the PlayStation 2 that, like, it completely destroyed anything for the Dreamcast. It was dead before arrival, really. And it's a little upsetting that it was dead on arrival, because its library wasn't that bad. In fact, it had, like, huge, like, I had so much to add to the games nowadays entirely. Like, what is it? How do you pronounce it? The Shenmue series? I think that's how you pronounce it. The Shenmue series, which basically revolutionized the way QTEs were made. So if you ever played Until Dawn, which is a game just chock filled with them, or one of my favorite, actually no, my entirely favorite game of any genre like that, Detroit Become Human, you got Shenmue to thank for, and Sega. So I mean, yeah, do that. The Dreamcast was discontinued in 2002 when Sega realized that they weren't really doing so hot and decided to just drop off and become a third-party games developer entirely. Up next is the good old PlayStation 2. And I have fond memories of the PlayStation 2 because that was one of my first ever consoles I played. That and the Nintendo 64. I remember playing a lot of Matrix Reloaded, I think it was, or I can't remember if that was one of the movies or if that was the game, but it was a Matrix game on PlayStation 2 that, looking back on it, was very bad, but I still enjoyed a lot because I was like 5. In fact, the PlayStation 2 was just a massive success. It had integrated 4-player connection, which, I mean, it wasn't new, but it was a plus because it was still around the time where you had to play locally with your friends if you wanted to play at all. Besides the Dreamcast, but I literally just told you how that failed. It had an available internet connection, because why not? And it also could play DVD movies. So, I mean, that's just like an all-in-one package. A year later, Nintendo came out with the GameCube. And even though you might know it now as one of the more refined and better consoles, it couldn't have been further from the truth. It released after the PS2, so it already lost all player attention because everyone's money just went to buying the PlayStation. Not only that, but since it waited so long to come out, all of the games that would have been on there are now on the PlayStation, and people are not just gonna remake their game for a different console that has different hardware compatibilities, especially since the console was so underprepared for the hardware that was needed to run these games, that some certain games came in multiple disc, which is insane to think of nowadays. But I mean, it worked, I guess. It also had the reputation of being a kids game system because of the purple box and the amount of kids games on there, because Nintendo was the only one making games for their own system. Now, in a secret underground laboratory, Microsoft was making up what was gonna be a banger at the time. The original Xbox. Not the Xbox One, mind you, because just like Windows, they don't know how to count. No, I'm talking about the Xbox, which was a massive success. It just propelled them to like, as a front runner in the console industry. Now, one of their big things with this was Halo, which was actually one of the main reasons why it was just boosted so far. You might remember Halo Combat Evolved. I never played it. I had a PlayStation. I told you this already, because I don't think Xbox is all that good. In fact, I believe it has a toxic player base, and that a lot of people on there are either pedophiles or just downright mean. But I also play on PC, so my opinion's invalid. Now, around the same time, another groundbreaking release was about to come out. In 2001, Grand Theft Auto 3, the first 3D adaptation of a Grand Theft Auto game, was released. And it had great reviews. Everyone was loving it. Except for the media and some select parents. Now, you probably remember early on in the video when I told you about the Satanic Panic and how D&D was evil and Pokemon was going to kill your kids. Also, I forgot to tell you this, Magic the Gathering was also satanic for, I guess, reasons I don't really have to get into, because it was just because. But I'm sure all of you remember these sweet news stories.
The video games, the movies, the internet stuff is so violent. It's so incredible. I see it. I get to see things that you'd be amazed at. I have a very young son who I look at some of the things he's watching and I say, how is that possible? And this is what kids are watching.
Which, you know, getting people mad at the stuff that you like is really irritating just because they don't know what they're talking about. But, okay, look. You know video games don't cause violence. I know video games don't cause violence. So why am I bringing this up? Is it because gamers are oppressed and we need to rise up? Could be. Is it because we live in a society? There's a chance. Is it because it's a cover-up of the bourgeoisie? Most definitely yes. But the real reason is because it has made it so much more popular. I mean, if you're gonna make a story about why something's bad, people are just gonna go out and do it. I mean, the cigarette commercials are like, oh, don't smoke, you're gonna die, you're gonna get lung cancer, your parents are gonna be really sad they lost a child, and your children are gonna be really sad that they lost their parent. But people still smoke. No one really, that doesn't stop people from doing things. So, because it was like one of the first ever like video gaming controversies, which was a landmark for us. As you know, it's been a rough few years. It's been a rough few years of Gamergate and all that stuff going on. Is that stuff still going on? Like complete character break, complete like break from what's going on. Is that stuff still going on? I actually can't tell. Also, in unrelated news, Nintendo is just dominating the game market. I mean, they had the Game Boy, they had the Game Boy Advance, and now what is this? They have the DS, and you can play all your games that you could play on the GameCube or any other game on the DS. It's pretty cool. Hey kids, do you want to play your favorite video games with your friends without looking at their stupid smelly face? Do you want to be called the N-word by a middle-aged incel because you took their favorite character? How about slowly losing your social life? Well, do I have the product for you? Try broadband internet. No longer will it sound like you're hacking into the Pizza Hut mainframe, you fat fuck. Stop it, you disgusting slob. You know what? I bet your sweat is the consistency of grease. You blue whale looking. Shut up, Stanleys. I don't have any issues, okay? And if you think I do, you're about to have some issues, okay? Look, I know a good place where no one will ever find you, okay? I have multiple knives in my collection. I'm not afraid to shove every single one of them into your single eye socket. That's right. One eye socket. The other one can watch. Buy broadband. I'm gonna put a fucking orphan in a meat grinder. Just when you thought Xbox was a one-hit wonder, then boom, they come crashing through the wall like Kool-Aid Man, and they're like, hey, look, I have the same thing, but better. And you're like, okay, cool, take my $500. Now, the Xbox 360 was such a success, but the only thing I remember from it was the toxicity and the blatant racism and homophobia. But don't worry, their mom wasn't home, so they didn't get in trouble for it. The PlayStation 3 was a thing, and there wasn't many problems with it besides, I mean, one big main issue that's a little quirky and funny was that it was worth $500 to $600. Why? Why would you? It can't be that good considering you made another console like 5 years afterwards that was better than it. That was only worth $400. You make. Ooh, you thought I forgot about this guy? The Wii? A mother of all memes nowadays? No. You'd be silly if you thought I did. But you're not silly. You're not funny at all. Stop trying to be. No one's gonna laugh at your jokes. The Wii was advertised as a family console, with such games as Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. Which, I mean, that's all the games you really need to know about, because those are the only good games on there. Now you may be thinking, hey, why have you talked about the PC? Or, hey, stop talking about this console scum and talk about the god himself, the PC. And I'll say, hey, calm down, it's okay, I'm getting there. Just be patient. Jesus, it's only like, it's gonna be like I don't know, 10, 13, 15, I don't know how long this video is gonna be. It's gonna be shorter than another video I made, probably. Or the longer video I made. Who knows? Who knows? But no, the PC really revolutionized everything. When it came out, it actually hosted what we would call mobile games, like Diner Dash and Bejeweled, like the mother of all mobile games. That's what they were, which is a little upsetting to figure it out. But besides that, they also had The Sims. Which, we all know what happens in The Sims. You make a character that looks somewhat like you or someone that you hate, and then you ruin their lives through satanic and comedic torture. I know I have problems, and I'm seeing someone about them, okay? But PC gaming also introduced gaming to such a whole nother audience. Now you can make your own games. Indie games are a thing. Like nowadays, they're huge. Five Nights at Freddy's, whether you find it funny or cringy or not, and that just made indie games so much more popular. I mean, it's not, and that's not the only indie game either. Back in the day of indie games, you had Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy, which were, you know, the bar, and then you had like a Hat in Time, and Braid, and Five Nights at Freddy's, and Undertale, and Deltarune, and just anything you can think of. Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is about a knight who has a shovel as a weapon, and he bounces off people's heads with a shovel. That is all the game is, and that's all it needs to be, because it's amazing and I love it. But it made games such a big thing for people. Like, they're so much easier to access, and it is so much better than consoles, because you have so much less limitations. And that's right, I said computers better than consoles. I just opened up a flame war, but don't worry about it. I do read my comments, but no one's gonna comment about it anyway. Probably. Also, let's not forget that they created what is now esports. So that's pretty cool. I might do a video about that one day. Who knows? There's stuff in the future. Now, we're closing on the present. It's 2011, which I know isn't the present, but like it's 9 years ago. It's close enough. It's February 2011, and Nintendo, they have a monopoly on mobile devices. I mean, like they have the DS. Now they just came out with the 3DS. They'll later come out with the 2DS, which is the same thing as a regular DS, but has the compatibility of playing 3DS games, which makes no sense why you would just not play have a 3DS and just play all the games on that already, because shit. But they sell cardboard now. They sell cardboard. Nintendo, how I hate it from a consumer standpoint because it's such a stupid thing to sell. But they sell cardboard now, which is really good from a business standpoint. If I could sell cardboard and make thousands of dollars a week, I would do it. Anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting like that for now. But I bring up the mobile market because Sony steps in with a mobile game system, the PS Vita, which you might know because it was new. It was a fresh face to a Nintendo dominated market. Now the Vita wasn't anything special. It was just a Sony version of the DS, in my opinion. It had Sony games instead of Nintendo games, but besides that, there wasn't much of a difference. I mean, it looked different. One was better than the other. I'm not going to say which, but there was a better one. Actually, no, I am going to say which one's worse. The Vita was worse. And I'm not saying it was inherently bad. Like, there wasn't anything just specifically about the Vita that was bad. It was just the fact that, like, no one really cared for it. Like, you were like, oh, cool, that's a thing. That's neat. And that was the entire extension that they had ever with a Vita. No one cared about it enough. But don't worry, Sony wasn't the only thing that messed up early on. Nintendo later released the Bile from the remnants of the Wii that us commoners know it as the Wii U. Now, the Wii U was advertised as just I guess a better Wii. Not like the Wii U is advertised to be the successor to the Wii, which, I mean, that's good and all, because that's pretty much what PlayStation does. It's just a better version of the PlayStation. But they that's all they did it as. Like, they didn't advertise it to say it was anything better. I mean, the cool thing about it is now you can now play games without a TV, which cool, but if you're not going to make the game system itself good, then why would I actually play it? You see, what they did was they basically thought anything that had the Wii's name on it would just coast to victory, which it almost did until it absolutely didn't. But enough about things that didn't work. Let's talk about things that do work. That's right. Segues, baby. Now, the PS4 had a slow launch. This was mostly due to its really limited library of games at release, which goes for the same for the Xbox One. Although the Xbox One had a bit of a advantage in this scenario because it has back there. The only thing the Xbox had that PlayStation didn't was the fact that it had backwards compatibility with Xbox 360 games. Now, it was only with some Xbox 360 games because it was a select few at a time that they would actually make backwards compatible. And you better believe Microsoft took their sweet time with that. And last, but certainly not least, Nintendo Switch, which was the redeemer for Nintendo entirely. Now the Switch basically took principles from the from the Wii U, as like you don't have to play with a TV anymore. It's now a very family and friend oriented console. But also on top of that, it improved on many things that the Wii U was bad with, in which the main part being that it was actually good. Like having an actual good Smash Brothers game, for one. So now it's at the time of recording it, it is May 9th, 2020, one day before Mother's Day, where I'm going to try and get this out on Mother's Day for a gift for my mother. Which I'm going to show this to her, and I'm very worried because of the things I have said in this are not very family friendly. Although she'll laugh. You're laughing, right, Mother? Please tell me you're laughing. But it's 2020 now. Not Nintendo. PlayStation, they just announced that the PS5 is going to come out in the holidays of this year, so that's something to look forward to. Also, a little off topic, Naughty Dog's Last of Us 2, which I'm really excited for. 2 hours of the game got leaked, which I've avoided, but but people are already piling on Naughty Dog for something that happened in the leaked footage, saying it's a bad game or something like that, which I find kind of funny that people are already trying to hate Naughty Dog for a game they haven't played yet and won't come out for another month. But that's besides the point. This is something new that I normally don't do. I've done scripted content on the channel before. A good example being the life cycle of a meme, which I actually really enjoyed making, and I had my friend Jerry help me with it. But I haven't done one to like this extent. It's took me a very long time to script, and this will probably take me a longer time to edit because of the many mistakes and the many bad jokes I made with it. But you know what? I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it too, please tell me, especially if you want to see something like specific scripted. I would love to do more stuff like this in the future. But this really it's a Mother's Day present for my mom. So this is just a message for my mom. If you're not my mom, get out of here, or don't. I don't really care. Mom, you are really the reason I do the things I do. You have really propelled me to be the person I am, and not just like a cheesy way of like, oh, without you I wouldn't be me, because that's I mean, it's true, but like it's saying that sounds really stupid. In reality, what I mean is, because of you, I have the sense of humor I do. Because of you, I feel joy doing the things I love to do. You have pushed me to do things like make my videos. You have been so supportive of that, and I genuinely thank you for that. And I really hope this comes out on Mother's Day, because if it doesn't, I'm gonna be very, very, very upset with myself. But I love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.